Hello, fellow translators. So, I was recently asked to do something that I thought would be quite interesting, and that's to go through the jobs here on Proz.com and show how I would apply to them and the good and the bad points, the red flags, and stuff like that, and kind of just do an overview of these jobs. And so, I thought I would do that, and I'll just use my profile to do it. As you can see, it shows. Actually, let me click on the jobs so we can see all the jobs. I'm assuming if you're signed up on Proz, you're signed up for the job alerts, which will be in your language pairs and specializations. But here, for purposes of this, I'm going to get rid of all this stuff so we can look at more jobs and hopefully get an idea. So these are for interpreters, the first one, which anyway, let's click on one. Why not? Let's look at it. Availability of Polish to English simultaneous interpreter. So here's the first thing, and this is for an interpreting job, obviously. I'm going to assume that it is not location independent. And so this means that that you have to be in the location where it's being offered. Here it says poster country, United Kingdom. As far as I can tell, it doesn't say anything about the location here. However, this is obviously something you need to confirm with them. Otherwise, the main thing here with interpreting jobs, it's the same with translation jobs. You look at the blue board. Here you say average rating of 4.9 out of 5. The main thing I would check here to confirm, obviously I can't apply to this job because it's not for me, but if you can apply to it, you can see more detail and you can click on this and actually see the company. I would look how many total ratings there are. And because, if they've had a bunch of ratings versus very few, it can make a difference. Also, how recent the last one is. If they have 4.9 out of 5, but they haven't had a rating in like 5 years, then you don't know what's been going on recently. And so those are the two things to watch out for. Otherwise, here, let's move on to translation jobs. Here. Here we have a German to French translation and a couple of things. First of all, so I don't know much about Translate NXT. If I remember correctly, it's quite expensive though. So you might want to make sure that they will either cover the cost or something along those lines. Then again, I see it's for automotive cars and trucks. Maybe it's something that's standard for automotive cars and trucks. And so maybe it is worth investing into. I don't know. I'm not in that industry. What I would check is A, if they will cover the cost, B, if not, if it's something that you will need for other translations in that genre, if that is your genre. Because if they require that tool, then you want to make sure that it's worth it. A couple other things, you'll see that the language pair is German to French, but the company is based out of China. I know there's some translators out there who don't want to work for companies that are based out of certain countries like China, India, stuff like that. And I get why, because over the years, out of the scammy agencies, people who disappear and stuff like that, let's say it's weighted more on the side of certain countries than others. Having said that, you see that it has a high Blue Board rating. Once again, I look at the total number of ratings and how recent they are, because there are plenty of legitimate companies coming out of every country. And so take this on a case-by-case basis because it could be worth looking into. And I won't go into all the details of what to look into now, but if it's on the blue board and you can see the name of the company, research the company by itself. See if it has a LinkedIn page, if it has a public profile, stuff like that, because all of those are good indicators. Otherwise, I wish they specified a bit more here because it doesn't say what the volume is. It doesn't give much of anything else. So you definitely need to ask that when you apply for this job if you're applying there as a German to French translator. But don't just assume that it won't work out just because there's some issues with it. Look into the CAT tool, ask more details, research the company itself, and because you never know. And the fact is, for a lot of these job announcements that at first glance might seem a bit iffy or odd, frankly, a lot of people don't apply just because of that. So you might even have less competition if it's a legitimate job. So don't discount them right off the bat. So here we have the next job. It's a subtitling job, English to Arabic. And they need some subtitling software. I don't do subtitling, so again, I'm not really sure about it, but I would do the same research once again, if it's paid, if it's not, if it's worth it to have in general, if the company will help to pay for it, etc., etc., etc. And when I say company will help to pay, many times agencies have a license for multiple users, and so they'll just let you use their license for that job, and so in that sense, you don't have to pay for it yourself. But this is on a case-by-case basis again. And once again, it has good rating, 4.9 out of 5. See how recent these are. And let's see if we can go to a job that I'm actually qualified for in terms of my language combination, so I can give you a bit more detail. Oh, and another thing I should point out here, it says quotes received too. This will happen when you apply on the website, and you can submit a quote rather than having an email address. And I like it because then you can see how many other people have been applying. And if they only received 2 quotes so far, that's actually a good sign in that you don't have much competition applying for this job. And they have a 4.9 rating, which it seems like this might be a decent job to apply for. So I'm going to change to my language pairs just so I can show you a little bit more detail. So let's, these are all 12 language pairs, Rush Medical. Anyway, let's click on this and see what happens. So as you can see, since I'm qualified for this, it shows more detail. It shows the historical average, 4.5 in the past 5 years, but in the past 12 months, it's been lower. This is a red flag. 4.5 is okay for, say 21 entries, but the fact that we have 3.7 out of 6 is kind of a bad flag. 90% of the time, if they leave a bad rating, it's because of non-payment. But either way, you can click on this and get more detail as to that. I do want to point out a couple other things. When they have a lot of languages together, right away I start getting iffy, and I'm going to guess this has something to do with MTP or AIC. Collecting AI training. So has language variant English, Brazilian Portuguese, but then a bunch of other languages. Basically, they're looking for a ton of languages, and because they want to train their AI. And so you see stuff like this is neither a professional translation nor localization project, it's translation task for collecting AI training data sets. So they're upfront about it. And you can evaluate, you can assess whether you want to do this job or not, but it will not be like normal translation. So make sure you read it very carefully. As a quick aside, I have heard of this company, Flitto, and I don't like it because if you look here, the payment details are, I think they're crazy. Look here, payment for the actual work will be displayed per word or character. Cash will be provided via Flitto points, where cash outable points equals 50,000 equals $35. Cash out is possible via PayPal, blah, blah, blah. And standard crowd 0.024 US dollars per LCTH. Anyway, it's they have this whole formula for how you're going to get paid, and it's with Flitto points, and you need to collect at least 50,000 Flitto points in order to get paid out, which equals about $35. I really don't like companies that do this, and they're not many. There are a couple. The only reason I can see for doing this is to keep your money, basically. Because that means that if you do a job for $20, you can't collect your money yet, and you have to do another job. And if they don't assign you another job, then you can't collect your money. But they set it up front, so you can't get mad at them. It's not really a scam. It's just a crappy way of doing business, I believe. And the problem is, even if you do make enough, 50,000 points, you need to figure out how their Flitto points work, and it's probably on their own proprietary program and stuff like that before you can ever get paid. And so it just makes you jump through a bunch of hoops to get paid. And to be honest, I think the only reason is because they know a lot of people will take longer to get paid, so they get to hold on to the money for a longer time. Because, they earn interest on this money that they have the longer they keep it. I just really think it's sneaky. I don't like that method of doing business. If you're in the translation business, you're in the translation business. Don't try to play other games. That's my personal feeling. Having said that, they're obviously not a scam. I don't think they're a scam. I think they are a legitimate company. I just don't particularly like the way they do business. But I'm sure there are plenty of people who work for them and do well. As you can see, 4.5 rating in the past 5 years isn't bad. It's lower lately, so definitely look into that. But otherwise, a couple flags that I would look out for here. And but do your homework and then go ahead with it and see what happens. For a lot of these, you kind of have nothing to lose as long as it doesn't take too much time, which, with the Flitto points, who knows? And look, they say pricing below is calculated average word per character per string equals 13 words on average equals 17 characters on average. I mean, it just makes it very complicated here. But there you go. So let's do one last one. And we have Get Translation. And I think I know Get Translation. I think they're pretty decent, at least as far as I remember. This is from a while back. But anyway, they need, what do they need? They need a bunch of stuff here. So this is quite odd. And they need a bunch of languages. So once again, we might be looking into some AI training, looking for skilled translators, interpreters, language specialists. On upcoming projects. They don't really give much detail here. Usually when it's a big thing like this, it's either these days for AI training or sometimes they're just trying to build up their database. Either way, this makes me think they're just trying to get more translators for their database, and I would not hold my breath in terms of getting a job even after you apply. So by all means apply, you have nothing to lose. As you can see, they have 5 rating, but it's only 4 entries and only 1 entry in the past 12 months. So they haven't been doing much business on Proz. However, the business they do, they seem to do quite well. And as far as I remember, they are a legitimate company. And so I think it's fine. The only iffy thing here is all of this. They're just looking for a bit of everyone. And so they're either trying to they're expanding their team. So, they're trying to pump up their database, which usually doesn't mean they have an urgent job or anything that needs to be done immediately. So that's why I say don't hold your breath. But by all means, sign up, because why not? Here I'll do one last one, and I think you sort of get the idea. So this was a rush medical job, but languages German to English, Italian to English, Portuguese to English, Spanish to English. So here they're quite specific. They have this specific language combinations. They say they want only freelancers, and they say we need a few more additional medical linguists. So these guys really know what they want. These are all good signs. Subject matter, pharmacovigilance, case reports. This is for specific jobs. So this is already a much better, higher percentage that you will actually get a job if and when you apply. Native English is a must. Please do not submit your response if you're not native in English. Good, that's a good sign. Work with Trados is a must. MT and personal TM are prohibited for this account. These are good signs because they're being very precise about it. But of course, it means you need Trados. I've talked about in other videos how to get it or how to get it for cheaper if you want to. However, it isn't cheap. So you need to evaluate and see if you don't already have it, see if it's worth getting it. Respond within 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, so this is sort of the first red flag, responding within 10 to 15 minutes. This means that you need to be in their same time zone, because if you're in a different time zone, then they need a response in 10 to 15 minutes. Yeah, that'll be difficult. And this means that during working hours or whatever hours they need you for, you need to be on there, on checking email, and as if you're at an office job. So just keep that in mind. For some people are fine with that. Some people aren't. And by the way, this doesn't mean that it's a first come, first serve. They might still first evaluate and get the best translator. I know some agencies, they only hire on a first come, first serve basis, and I really don't like that, because then you're just treating translators like commodities. This does not mean that necessarily. All it means is that once they've hired you, they need you to be available, because they need rush jobs for what they're doing. In the medical field, rush jobs, it happens, especially in the medical world. You need stuff like this. And so it can happen. So definitely look into it and see if it's worth it or not. Extensive medical experience in the medical field. These are all good points. They really know what they want, and they want someone serious. And so that's what they're looking for. So, poster country, United States. So in one of the time zones in the United States, I don't know exactly where, but they'll need you to be available during that time. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, they received quite a few quotes. Italian to English, Portuguese to English has the fewest. This gives you an idea as to how many other people and what other people are applying for it. This is purely informational. Even if you apply for Spanish to English and they have 28, you could still get the job. You never know. But it gives you a good idea. And, because very, very often I'll look at this, and in my language combination, there'll only be, say, 2. And so, yeah, I'll want to apply for it right away if I qualify, because that's a good sign. Anyway, hopefully this helped you out. Feel free to let me know if you want me to do any more of these. I can also do something like this for LinkedIn, by the way, to browse some jobs that are being offered on LinkedIn and see if they're worth it or not, etc. Just let me know if you want me to do anything along those lines, and I can get to it. Otherwise, oh, I always forget to say this, but don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And I offer courses and blah, 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 blah. Otherwise, savedum. Hello, fellow translators. Are you feeling left out with everything going on around AI and AI in translation? Well, I'm here to tell you, you should not let AI intimidate you. In fact, you should let it empower you. You can turn AI into your ally. The fact is, AI is here to stay, and if you're a translator, you're probably well aware of this. However, it won't steal your job. AI is just a tool. So what you should fear is not AI, but the translators who actually know how to use AI properly. It's important to get ahead of the curve and to understand how all of this works. That way you can take advantage of its benefits, but also know how to avoid its pitfalls. In this cutting-edge course, you'll discover how AI differs from traditional machine translation. And we're going to go through some techniques for pre-editing, post-editing, glossary creation, etc. We'll look at ways to leverage AI for internet research and terminology validation. And we'll also look into how to have AI verify its own translation and improve upon it. In addition, we'll be looking at strategies to overcome AI pitfalls like confidentiality issues and hallucinations, etc., etc. As a professional translator with almost 2 decades of experience, I've been through pretty much every iteration of MT, machine translation, and AI, artificial intelligence, at least with regards to translation. And what I've been able to do is develop custom AI prompts that streamline workflows and boost productivity. I use these prompts for my agency, and I also work with translators to create customized AI prompts for them that they can use. So come along in this course, where we're going to start from scratch and explore what AI can do for translators. In the process, I share the prompt code that I use for translations, and I show you how to tweak it and make it customizable so you can have a personalized prompt code for your own needs. So future-proof your translation career and click the button below to get started.